During the last 40 years, I've been traveling around the world, reporting on the customs and traditions that give meaning to our lives. During those years, I discovered that the ones that were most valuable to me were the ones that gave me a sense of inner peace and self-knowledge. A couple of years ago, I told a friend of mine that I was interested in taking a break from traveling around the outside world and wanted to make a trip to the inside to find out more about my own feelings and how they might relate to the universal themes of life. He suggested that I take a look at the teachings of a man named Prem Rawat. Prem, who is also known as Miraji, is originally from India and has been speaking to people around the world for about 30 years. He talks about the possibility of knowing contentment in our lifetime. He points out that the forces of modern society may stimulate our desires and drive us outward in a search for happiness, but lasting happiness can only be found within you. Like most people, I am interested in inner peace and self-knowledge. But as a journalist, I am particularly skeptical of anybody who tries to show me how to find it. In spite of that cynicism, I attended 2 lectures by Prem, and I found his message to be timely and quite significant and quite entertaining. And most surprisingly, some of the things he said actually helped me solve some problems that I was having with my family. I want to point out that I am not a student of Prem Rawat. I am a journalist interested in his story and his message, and he's very open about that. He says that the things that he teaches are significant to some people, but not to others. My conversations with Prem were taped over the course of several months in Malibu, California. We talked about his life, my life, what is going on in the world today, what makes people happy, what makes us sad, and how one can choose to live. You teach a simple and practical process of self-discovery and self-knowledge. What do you mean when you say self-knowledge?
Sometimes when we look at this world, look at all the things that we're surrounded by, and it's only natural for us to start judging ourselves and comparing ourselves in different ways to all the things that are around us. After all, what is success, what is failure comes from that. But then just for a minute, contemplate one thing, that you're you, and that you is yourself. And that which can bring you in touch with that self is self-knowledge.
How do you get to that place? How do you begin to learn about yourself?
Well, let's take the same principle and go to this one other place. You know, all our lives we try to reason, logic. So many people are living in that reason. So many people are completely indulging themselves every day. Well, now I have done this, so I must be okay. Now I can do this, so I must be okay. But you know, there's something more than reason, and that is feeling. Feeling is far, far more important than reason. And the process begins with understanding that distinction. There is all my logic, and then there is a feeling. And when I start to acknowledge in my life this one valuable tool that I have been given, which is I can feel. I don't have to reason everything, I can feel too. Then you start to enter in the realm of self-knowledge. Because that's what self-knowledge is going to be. It's going to be a feeling. Peace is a feeling. Happiness is a feeling. Something has been placed inside of you. People have called it happiness. People have called it serenity, tranquility, joy, bliss. It doesn't matter what words you use. But what does matter is that you feel it. The benefits, you will then be the judge of what the benefit is.
Do you think that there's any relationship between self-knowledge And science?
Science is a way of explaining what exists. Science can never explain to you why a sunrise looks so beautiful.
Why? Now that you've raised that issue, I've seen hundreds of sunsets. I've enjoyed them. I've never understood why will I walk to the end of a pier to see a sunset? Why do I do that?
Because the beauty is within you, calling out to you to appreciate, to enjoy what is enjoyable. And it is in this narrow realm that self-knowledge exists. Appreciate, enjoy, because something beautiful has been placed within you.
Talk to me about God.
Another one of those wonderful things that you need to feel. There are so many fathers. Maybe the child comes to them and says, Dad, tell me about God. How about being a little sincere? How about being a little honest, patting your son on the back and saying, Son, I'm looking for him too. You find him before me, call me. I find him before you, I'll call you. And let's both feel. Enjoy this journey of that search. Let the search come from the heart, not from reasoning. Today, too many people have reasoned God. Not felt, but reasoned God. And what happens? God gets put in a box. All of a sudden, I can say to you, oh, by the way, my God's better than yours. How can that be? How can that be? When, whether it is an African tribe digging up a tuber root, extracting the water from it so they can quench the thirst, or it is a person in New York who's sitting in a very fancy restaurant and raises his finger and asks for water. Quenching is exactly the same for both of them, whether it's Africa or it's New York.
What are some of the thirsts that we have? You use that metaphor in a very nice way.
Thirst to be content. Thirst to be fulfilled. A thirst in itself just wants to be quenched. Now I can give it reasoning. Oh, I think this will quench my thirst. God will quench my thirst. Feeling God will quench your thirst, not reasoning.
What about religion? It's a complicated issue in the environment today.
People see a need for them. And nobody should sit there and judge a religion, good or bad. It is not your business.
Do you think that religion can help you find yourself, find the knowledge?
Those people who follow it feel it fulfills some need in them. And that's why they follow it. And no more needs to be said than just that.
You grew up in India. Tell me about your childhood there.
Oh, I had a very fascinating childhood. I had 3 elder brothers, and we kind of got along like brothers do. I don't think in that sense it was any different. But then I started speaking to people. My father, he would speak. So before he would come on, I'd see people scattered here and there. In India, everybody's got something happening. So I'd get on the stage and I'd start speaking to them. And they would just go, fascinating, this little kid speaking.
How old were you?
Oh, I was around 6 years old. That's when I started to talk. And they would all start coming together and sitting down and listening to this little boy speak. And then when everybody had kind of settled down, I'd just say, okay, tell my father they're all ready to listen to him.
You were the opening act for your father. That's amazing.